Welcome to Let's Get Dumb, the podcast where I, comedian Joe Kilgallen, and comedian Jonah Jerkins like to ask dumb questions, tell dumb stories, make dumb lists, and just have a dumb old time with you. Jonah, how are you?
Incredible.
Unbelievable, man.
Right. I was really holding that one.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to break.
I did. Yeah. You almost made me laugh. I'm doing good, Joe. I had a good weekend. It is now Monday. How are you holding up?
I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better from last week.
Yeah. Do you want to
Last
talk
week
about?
was serious.
Yeah, you were.
No, we don't need to talk about anything. I started anger management for the listeners who were curious. I started it the next day.
Which is fast.
I went after it. Well,
Yeah.
when you have a moment like that, you can't waste time.
Right.
You know, so I had to get after it, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been doing the practices so far. It's one weekend. So obviously
Right.
you know, a lot of people are, how's that going? And I'm like, it's just starting. I feel confident in it, which is the key.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pretend like I'm better. It's
Yeah.
1 week, you know?
So
Like going to the gym.
it is like going to the gym. If we're getting too personal, please let me know and we'll move straight on. But when you have an incident like that, this just popped in my head. When you have an incident like that, do you feel the need that you have to at least play happy-go-lucky every time you see somebody for like the next week or two?
No, I've not played it that way at all.
Not saying that you are, but do you feel the need that you have to be like, hey, look at it, look at me, hey, right, everything's great, hey, my man, what's going on?
I can see why you asked that. But I've actually felt the opposite.
Really?
Yes. I stayed away from the Chicago comedy scene all of last week.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of the regular places I would hang out at and all that stuff, I just avoided like hard. I did have a couple shows at Laugh At, so I had to do those, right? But for the most part, I stayed away from all that. And then tonight I had a show before we recorded where I was like, oh, I'm going to see some people I haven't seen, who I know, and all this stuff. And I was having a good day because I'm starting to feel better about myself because I'm taking the steps. I'm taking it seriously. You know, the people I hurt the most, I'm, cool with again, or working that way. And so I had a photo shoot before this guy. I got new headshots, which I needed.
Oh, nice.
Before the show. And, I was just in a good mood, right?
Yeah.
Kids went back to school today, all that stuff. And
nice. There you go.
So when I walked in and I saw those people, and they're like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I'm okay. I'm a little better. I just said, which is true. I'm a little better,
Yeah.
For most of last week, I was awful.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. And I felt like shit. And then, I had a lot of good friends like yourself and other people who were just like, dude, it's okay. They're trying to tell me it's okay, but I still didn't feel like it was okay. And then you get to a point in life, and I want the listeners to hear this. You eventually have to forgive yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
If you want other people to forgive you, you have to forgive yourself. Because if
Right.
you can't forgive yourself, how could you expect anyone else to forgive you and take you back and work with you again and be there for you and all that shit? So yeah, I mean, you and I had a joke last week before the podcast about something that we're going to make a clip of. I don't want to say because I'll ruin it for the listeners. We had a funny clip. You know what I'm talking about? The one where it's like, I'll just say it because otherwise you're looking at me like a lost. Austin, our producer. What's up, Austin?
Yo, Joe.
I showed these guys an old clip of me from YouTube, and I'm like, man, I want to look that good again. And you guys were both like, no, you look better now.
Oh, yeah.
And then we thought, like, well, let's make a video and have to ask the listeners, when did Joe look better, 6 years ago or today?
Where's Hot Joe at?
Zaddy Joe.
Which one's the hotter version? And we talked about it. I'm like, yeah, I'll post that. And then I thought, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
Right? I should still be suffering as far as the public's concerned. I can't be going, hey, when was I cuter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's do it for Jonah, then watch Jonah have a breakdown about it.
Oh, with me on it? Don't ever fucking do that. I'll kill myself. I'll absolutely murder myself. That would be insane. Someone posted a picture of me yesterday. I was like, why would you do that to me? Why would you ever?
I think you're the hottest you've ever been.
Well, that hurts my feelings because then
No.
that's insane.
I meant this as a compliment.
Because then you're gonna be like, well, no, I know I was hotter then, and it's just like I know I'm not now. Fuck off, dude. Like it's just like it's that poor like you can never give an ex-fat kid a compliment because they are not gonna do well with it whatsoever. But the answer is you should do it. I think what's really good is during your apology tour, you just say, hey, listen, hey everyone, all of my friends and my fans and my family and all the people that were there. I'm so sorry for everything that I did, and I should never act like that ever again. But also, like, when was I the hottest? Like, I really need to know when I was the hottest. You're right.
All right, we'll post it this week.
That'd be a bad look. You're right.
Like, when, I just want to know when is the right amount of time to go back to being like, come support me. Buy tickets to my show.
Right? Hey, please come, please. I'm so sorry.
All that stuff.
I'm trying to think of like, I mean, the hardest for me when I feel like I have to apologize is like the day after like a pretty bad blackout. Cause then it's like, do I need to apologize? And then do I want to find out the truth?
Yeah.
Right. And then also it's like, that's the only kind of doom thoughts I ever go to is just like, oh, I just did the worst thing ever. And then it's like, so you're gonna see somebody the next day, you're like, sorry, like kind of like, did I do something? Are we cool? We cool? Hey, yo, we cool?
We cool?
We cool? We good?
We good, big dog?
We good?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're good. Okay.
all right,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, you just go straight into Denzel. You're like, okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Oh, I'm leaving with something.
Yeah.
I'm leaving with
Yeah.
something.
I'll bring something. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if any point during that meltdown I had, if I did a Denzel impression, all
Yeah.
forgiven, right?
Yeah. I think that would have fixed it.
That would have fixed everything.
100%.
You know, I thought to myself, if I would have just, after I initially, everyone was like, you know, you got to get out of here. If I would have just poked my head back in, looked you into the eyes, looked you right in the eyes and said, hey, are you trying to embarrass me, you stupid fucking bitch?
I would have been like, has this been a joke the whole time?
Yeah. And then you'd be like, this fucking guy. And then everyone was like, oh, he's joking. And then it would have been fine.
I would have been like, oh my God, Joe prestiged us the whole time. And that sounds, I truly do think that you were coming down and were at that level where you wanted to do that, but everybody was not letting you do it because I do know you well enough to know that, and I've never seen you rage like that ever, but I have seen you rage a couple times, not a lot. And the times that I've seen you, there has been a moment where I'm like, oh, Joe's catching himself. And then there's been a joke.
Yeah.
And you're pretty good at that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was an epic one for me. It was almost like when Joe Fernandez said to you, I didn't feel like I was talking to my friend. I had people say that to me. It was like, that wasn't you. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, right? But yeah, that I wasn't able to catch myself with a joke like previously because it just wasn't in the right mental state of mind. I wish I know back, but yeah, I wish I wouldn't have started that shit in the first place to begin with. How could you, right?
And it's funny because you got your, speaking of which of your anger management, you got a little tested with that right away.
So get this, I start anger management first session, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. He's fucking 16 minutes late. And I literally did think to myself, I'm like, this is part of it.
Yeah, there's a camera here somewhere.
This is part of it. He's gonna point it out to me on like, he's gonna take out his laptop and be like, I noticed you punched my wall 6 times. How do we handle people being late in the future? Let's work on our breathing exercises. Because I thought, I'm like, this would be interesting if this is a thing that anger management therapists do.
Right.
Where they want to, especially for the first session, elevate you to a point where you're angry so they see what you're like right away.
Yeah. And the guy's just got a permanent black eye for all the people who've done it too.
Yeah. Because I had to fill out this anger management questionnaire thing before I did it. And, you know, I was talking to him and I said like something like, you know, I brought up the questionnaire. I'm like, yeah, you know, I filled that all out. Really made me think. And then he was like, oh yeah, let me go over this. And he goes, to be honest, nothing's sticking out to me. You seem pretty normal. And I remember being like, okay, well, you're going to learn some things here.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because I literally had to tell him, I go, let me cut you off right there. If you poll all the people I've ever had interactions with throughout my life from puberty on, they would tell you I have the worst temper they've ever come across.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they would say I'm an angry person per se.
Yeah.
But they would say I have a really short fuse and a really, really bad temper. So when I lose it hard. I get dark. I say things that I should never say I don't mean.
Right.
I try to hurt people with words because I feel so hurt. I do a lot of bad things that you need, you know.
Yeah.
And so he's
like,
we'll get to that. But in my brain, I'm like, did I fill it out thinking this is what you wanted? Because I thought I was giving the most honest answers during it.
Would you be a little proud of yourself if that you were so bad at this and you were so like legendarily angry that you made him quit? Because he's just like, I can't do this. I spent 15 years doing this and I can't. Wouldn't you feel a little proud?
A little proud of the sense that, like, say he gave me a guarantee.
He's just like, I can't.
This dude is confident. And
Yeah,
that's what makes me like him. But like at the end of it, he was like, you know that guarantee I gave you in the beginning? Here's all the money back, and I'm having a retirement party next week.
Yeah.
I would have to feel a little bit, maybe a little proud.
Yeah.
In the sense that
he's like, I'm just gonna go whittle wood.
I'm going to go retreat to the mountains. If you're going to be horrific at something, you might as well be like to the next level.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Chicago White Sox right now are almost going to break the all-time worst record in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
And some of my White Sox fan friends are like, if we're going to suck, we might as well be the worst of ever.
Right.
Right. Let's suck like no one's ever sucked before. So maybe there'd be a small part of me. I mean, first it'd be depressing to be like, Jesus Christ, this is what I drove this man to.
Yeah.
But then there'd be a small part of me that might be a little bit
Kind of
like,
laughing about it a
yeah, little bit about it. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm so fucked up. I put someone into retirement.
Yeah. At what age? Again, if you want to stop talking about this, let me know. At what age did you notice you're like, I got a little anger issue here? I'm trying to picture you at like 4, like telling your mom to go fuck off, or throwing your tiny little shoes at her.
No, again, I never did a shoe throwing thing.
Yeah,
That's why it was so bizarre.
Yeah. But know that I'm picturing it like the movie Little Man, where you have an adult head on a little baby, and I'm picturing that little baby screaming, and it's making me laugh a lot.
No,
my
I
head.
mean, people have asked me, did you have like temper tantrums in like, toy stores or something like that because you couldn't get the toy you wanted? No, I really wasn't. I wasn't like that. I don't know when it came about as aggressively as it did, but I do remember, I think it came around puberty. You get a little more competitive.
No
You got all the
bullshit.
hormones going. I was the victim of bullying when I was really little, and that's when I learned to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was older kids on the block. They were like just mean dickheads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And eventually I'm like, well, I'm just going to hit you in the mouth. But I was a sweet kid. I was a really sweet, nice boy.
Uh-huh.
I remember telling this story. If I told this, I might have told this on the podcast. I'll tell it again. I was such a sweet, nice boy that I remember one time I almost stepped on an ant. Like I remember putting my foot down. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then I saw the ant and I did step on it a little bit, but it was still moving around.
Yeah.
And when you're a little kid and you're hurt, you kiss it to make it feel better, right? That was the big, I went to kiss the ant to make it feel better because I was a little kid. I was dumb. I was like 4 or 5.
Did you get hard?
No, I did not get hard. That came later. But when I went to kiss the
It
ant,
did come later.
I lift my face up and I'm like, oh, where'd the ant go? It was crawling up my tongue.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Ugh.
yeah, so never kiss an ant. They'll crawl up your mouth.
Yeah.
But I remember like a decade later that popped in my head and I was like, oh, I was such a nice kid. Where did that go away? You know what I mean? Not that I've ever been, I don't want people listening who are maybe listening for the first time to think I was ever mean to people. I've always been anti-bully. I've always stuck up for people. I've always been I feel like a really good friend. I will give myself credit for a lot of stuff like that. But sometimes you get lost in it. You know what I mean? And I feel like, not to be a woe's me type of person, but because I come off as a very confident person, rarely do people check in on me. Like, you've been good and I've got a couple other people, but it feels like for the most part, if you come off a certain way where people think you have it all together, you tend to bottle your shit more than other people because you have no one to talk to about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then that spills out in eruption.
Right.
But as far as answering your original question, which is hard to think of, I do have one story. I remember playing basketball in an alley in Chicago, and it was a loose ball, and my friend pushed me. But it was a foul on him.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit. He pushed me to get to the ball, and I responded by grabbing the back of his head and slamming it off a garage door. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. His name was Gilberto Lopez. He was a good dude, and luckily he forgave me because he admitted to pushing me first, but it was still, everyone was like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
That was
you get in trouble?
insane. No, it was after school. Teachers didn't know about it or anything like that. It was,
Did you kill your friend?
No, he was okay. He had a big bruise on his head, though.
I bet he did.
Had a big bruise on his forehead.
Yeah.
But
That guy killed his family because he got CTE for sure.
Yeah, I should check in on him, actually.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, luckily, since I've become an adult, any violence I have when I'm that angry results in me just walking away and punching the nearest stop sign I could find or brick wall.
Yeah.
Which is dumb. You don't
Yeah,
win
the
when you
brick
punch
wall,
a brick
yeah.
wall. No, my hand right now, I had to start journaling over the last week, and I could write like a paragraph, and then I had to stop because my hand hurts. Because my hand is still kind of
punched.
Yeah, because I punched a wall when I was really mad that day.
Yeah.
And my hand's still a little puffy at the knuckles, and I got some bruising still. So holding my hand in the pen writing mode,
Yeah.
fucking starts to cramp and hurts after a while.
Yeah.
So don't punch shit when you're angry, everybody.
How do you hold
Lesson
the
learned.
pen?
I hold the pen like this, but it's hard to illustrate.
Oh, because you're
that.
doing this.
Well, it's hard to illustrate.
Oh,
Well, I
I
guess I
see,
could
yeah.
have done that.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I could have done that. I hold the pen the right way. Don't worry, I'm not a kid,
Yeah.
man.
You guess what we're doing now? We're working on your improv skills.
My
That's all
object
that.
work.
So I had a little bit of I had an anger problem as a kid, big time, and then my parents
When they took the food away from you?
yeah,
Fat kid.
that was good.
Sorry.
What the fuck, man? Fuck you! Fuck you! That was a pretty good joke. And no, this was before I was fat. And pretty good joke though. And no, I for some reason it sticks in my head, and I was like play wrestling with my friend, and then he went to move his head, and his head just like knocked me right in the chin really hard. And I flew off the handle, and I started like beating up this kid a little bit. or like kind of like aggressively wrestling with him back to the point my grandmother was babysitting me, and then she like broke in because she heard us screaming or crying or whatever, and he was like a next door neighbor, made him go home, and then I pretended to like cry like I was hurt really bad, and I was like like that, like sympathy, and then my grandmother looked at me and she goes, oh, you're not hurt, you're just a liar like your father.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that stuck with me so much where I was like, I think it like put me in the straight and narrow path. Like when somebody was just,
you need a fucking someone to give it to you real.
Sometimes when someone says something to you and you're like, God damn, that cut deep. And I was like 5 when that happened, and I've never forgotten that moment.
I had a friend do something similar for me when I was like 21 or so. You know that bar Trader Todd's on Sheffield?
Yeah.
They used to have an apartment above it, like a couple floors above it, like when we were like 21 or so.
Yeah.
And he had a Halloween party that I started a fight at.
Yeah.
I thought I was coming in as the good guy because I helped him set up for the party.
Yeah.
And I remember them being like, hey, if anyone gets out of line because we're the ones setting up, we handle it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll help you handle it, of course. And I went to another Halloween party. I was getting to that one late. When I got there late, this one dude was like talking shit to like this girl I kind of knew. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And then he said something and I just fucking clocked him and then started a brawl. And I thought like, no, you guys told me if anyone gets out of line.
Yeah. What?
Then like it was a whole thing. And then someone told me, sit the fuck down. And then my friend got in my face, like up in my ear screaming. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you these days? Because the day before I broke my friend's door. There was all these like little things I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize like how fucking selfish and shitty they were.
Yeah.
To be fair though, when I broke my friend's door down, I had left my car keys in there and he locked his door because he didn't trust his roommates.
How else are you supposed to get the door down?
Well, I was calling him over and over again. He wasn't answering his cell phone. And I needed to move my car before towing started.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I broke his door. But I was going to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was a whole thing where I remember when he got in my face, started screaming at me, I almost started to cry.
Yeah.
I might have shed a tear or two because he got like up in it.
Yeah.
Like, he was like in my ear yelling about me and just being like, get your fucking shit together. And whenever anyone ends a tirade with get your fucking shit together.
Yeah.
You need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I always that's funny you said that because that reminds me of your joke about when your kid was like, hey, relax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
Smart lad. We have a fun list though. Is that a good
Wait,
segue?
before we get into that.
Sorry, yeah.
So I got 2 things. One, did I ever tell a story about the first time I got spanked by my mom?
No, but
Yeah, dude, so about a kid saying, because that reminds me of something about sometimes your kid can cut deeper than anything else. My mom got so mad, and I was like such a brat kid, and my uncle was finally like listen, you gotta discipline your kids, like spanking. This is back when spanking was a thing, and my mom could never do it, and she finally was like, I got so mad. She's like, you're getting spanky, and she bent me over, like spanked me, and then I just looked right at her and I go, this isn't you. And then she was like, this isn't me. You're right. It isn't. And she never disciplined me like ever after that.
How old were you when you said that?
I think I was like 4. I mean,
4?
Yeah. And I don't know why
Damn.
that came to my head. I just looked at her and was like, this isn't you. Just like,
if my 4-year-old said that to me after spanking, I would probably leave the family.
Yeah,
to be like, you're better without me.
Yeah,
I am such a piece of shit parent.
Yeah.
If at 4 you realize you're better than this.
yeah. This isn't who you are.
I don't think I could stick around after that.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd make me want to parent harder, but I'd realize at that point, oh, this kid's better off without me. That's amazing.
Dude, nothing's better than like even being in an argument with like a loved one, like a girlfriend or whoever, and then you just say something and you can see them hit their face and you're like, that's cut deep. And even if it's not mean, but you just say something kind of like so like truthful.
On point.
And they're like, wow, that was good. You're like, yeah, you fucking ate right. That was good.
Sometimes it works the other way. One time I said to my son, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. And then he goes, we both know that's not going to happen. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're probably right.
That's
Whatever,
really funny.
what can you do? I think we came up with a fun one for this week. Don't you think? This one's a good one.
Inspired by experiences I had this weekend, by events I had this weekend.
Yeah, tell them real quick where you were this weekend, and then we'll slide into, just to give them a little heads up, we're doing top 5 places where you'll see the ugliest people.
Yeah.
Top 5 places to see the ugliest people.
Stepped on my joke, my friend.
Was that you're doing a joke?
Buried
about
my lead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
it's okay.
Talk about.
Well, I was gonna say that I went to the Ren Fair, and it was my first time ever being at the Ren Fair, and I was gonna say, if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, go to the Ren Fair. I did
step on it.
Jonah, what's
Fuck.
the Ren Fair?
The Renaissance. I'm sorry. I thought that was it's a Renaissance fair in Wisconsin, which is all medieval stuff. And they do it for like 2 weeks. I guess it's the biggest one in the country. It's insane. They have like a whole town with like buildings and houses and stuff built, and they have like people walking around in character the whole time. It's weird, and everybody smells weird, and people are taking it way too serious. And it's kind of crazy.
They're kind of right up there with like the Civil War reenactors, where they stay in character the whole time and everything. Yeah, that's kind of
the whole time. And we went with the comedian Claire, who's on our podcast.
Claire Sunbees, episode 6 or 7 early on.
Greg
Kennedy, who's also on the podcast.
Right, who's also on the podcast. I had another comedian named Alex Clays here in Chicago.
Great dude. I love Alex.
We all went to it. And the whole point was to have Claire kind of have a fun time because she was so excited. And we had her play all the games, and she played, she did the crossbow, not the crossbow, but the bow and arrow. And this girl was so fucking bad at it. It was insane. It's like, you're an adult, and how do you not understand like anything? To the point where the guy that was helping her was in character. He's like, oh, hey, look at little young lady, like that. Where all of a sudden she was so bad, he was just like, oh, listen, just hit the thing in this. Like, he broke character just to help her. It's so funny watching somebody so bad that you are ruining somebody else's life.
And just to give the new listeners a little bit of a heads up, Claire is 27 going on 12.
Yeah.
That describes her very well.
And I mean
it as a compliment, because she's not even that she's tiny, just the attitude in which she carries herself, which she's super hilarious, but she's fun. And she's also kind of like a girl that in every photo pretends like she's giving a blowjob, even though she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
Loves talking about farting.
Loves pooping.
Clearly has a lot of pooping issues.
Yeah. I carried her on my shoulders for a little bit. She's like my daughter.
Yeah, because she's like 4'11".
Yeah, she's tiny. She weighs nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see her having a blast at something like this.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. And I also realized something too is when you see a person that is in full costume. First, I was 90 degrees out, and everyone's wearing layers and velvet. It's insane. But when you see somebody like in a full costume, and then they're holding hands with a loved one who's also in a full costume, you're like, love is out there. You know. Like, you can, like, how do you find somebody? Like, it's insane that you found somebody that also is into that too, right? It's just really amazing to watch.
Jonah, you're downplaying how serious people take this. I went to a Western one, which was fucking awesome, where it was a whole West town and everyone dressed up. People take off 2 weeks of work to do it every day, and they, like, when it's over, they cry. Because it's like, this is my escape from the reality of life that I work in a shitty office job. Yeah. And I get to be a fairy for 2 weeks and like be happy finally. Right. And it like when they told us that, and like it was a Western one, my mom was like, what the fuck is this place? Yeah. Like, you're missing out, Jonah.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's also insane is that if you're not dressed up, you're the minority there.
Yes, you get looked at.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you couldn't.
For the Western one, no one else did, and my dad got scolded. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. You could not tell who was working there and who wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, that's how fucking serious these people took it. Yeah. And by the way, I told my girlfriend that about the whole, like, true love. It's really amazing that someone could find somebody else like that. I mean, how do you find that? And she goes, Jonah, those people can find each other easier than anything else because they're going to the same thing. And she's like, you're looking at it like a normal person. Like, you meet somebody online. Like, these people are meeting people at their LARPing conventions. Like, that's just how it is. And if you're into that, that's amazing. Good for you. I have nothing in my life that I'm that serious about. Austin's shaking his head, and I do agree with him.
No, it's a good point though, like that your girlfriend made, Laura, because that's such a specific thing to be that dedicated to, that it would be easier to find someone else like that. Because you're looking at it from a pretty logical point of view of like, what are the odds? Yeah. But the odds are actually pretty good because there's only so many of those things out there. Right. You show up to a few of them. Your dating pool is narrow. Yes. Right. So it does add up.
Yeah. It's just, and it's also incredible where like people like looked in the mirror with their whole get up on and they're just like, yeah. And then they just go to the thing that they want to go to. You know what I mean? It's kind of insane.
I kind of respect that actually. Good
I do
for them.
too. I do respect that. And like some of those people are like, some of them, I know it's different than our list, but some of them are like these gorgeous Adonis looking men and these like pretty ass girls. And they're so into it. It's weird.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like several comedians have had this joke, but like we go to sporting events and guys are wearing baseball jerseys. They're basically dressing up like the people they're going to go see. Yeah. And so like we always think Star Wars nerds who dress up in Star Wars and they go see a movie, like, what are you, the biggest loser in the world? Why would you do that? Same principle, just less popularity.
Yeah.
And it's even further down the scale for these live action role playing things, LARPing, whether it's a Western themed one or the Renaissance themed, which is like the Renaissance. And then they got the medieval times type stuff and those people. Like, yeah, I mean, you know, it's crazy and it's weird to us, but to them, that's their, you know, NBA. That's their NFL.
Yeah.
That's their shit. That's their Star Wars. So
yeah,
it adds up.
I was a little disappointed though, because you'd walk around and then all of a sudden they had a stand for tacos. And you're like, at a Renaissance fair? Like, that's...
I'm still sad what you told me about the turkey leg.
Oh, yeah. I had a turkey leg. It was horrible. I was looking forward to that for a week. And we went up, and the three of us got a turkey leg. We bit into it, and 3 adult men got instantly disappointed.
I was told the turkey leg shouldn't even be at Renaissance fairs.
Why?
Because the Renaissance was in Europe, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
There are no turkeys in Europe. It's,
So
North
a cow
America.
leg?
It's a North American bird.
A horse
They
leg?
have chickens,
Yeah.
but the leg wouldn't be that big.
Okay.
You know, get a
Yeah.
fat turkey leg walking around like a caveman. But
It's one of those things where you're like, okay, I can't wait to eat this thing. And then when you're walking around, you're looking at everybody's plates and nobody has that on their plate. That should be the number one tell.
that is a goddamn good point, man.
Yeah.
I was also thinking that Jonah said that there was only one stand, which is crazy.
There's
because
two.
or like 2.
Took us
in
forever
the
to find
biggest one. Because in Ohio they have the medieval festival,
Mhm.
and there's like every fucking corner there's one. There's too many.
Yeah.
And I think it is because the Renaissance is like Da Vinci time.
Okay.
And medieval time was like Vikings and shit, where they
Yeah.
had turkeys. So to close that thought you had a while ago off air.
yeah.
I realized you didn't say that, and it was I was speaking.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, I told you a story before, but like this is so funny. So, Claire and Alex are in line to throw axes, and these axes they don't have like wood handles on it. It's just all metal, and they're kind of like weird, right? And Claire's like kind of freaking out. She's like, I don't know if I want to throw this. I'm kind of worried it's gonna be dangerous. And then Alex is like, oh, it's not going to be dangerous. Like, and also like the people working here are basically professionals. You're fine. And then 30 seconds after he says that, this girl goes, all right, I can't do the accents, but she's like, oh, all right, I'll show you how to do this. And then she goes to throw it. And right when she throws it, she goes, fuck my hand. And she cut her hand really bad. And she goes, every fucking year I do this shit. And then someone goes, at least you didn't throw out your arm like most people do when they throw it too hard. And then instantly Claire and Alex were just like, well, not doing that. And just kind of walked away.
I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
I love when something happens where it's like they're so confident, like, oh, watch this now. And they're bleeding all over the goddamn place.
Yeah. And it's right after you're telling somebody it's safe. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
The line every fucking year cracks me up too.
Yeah,
So
every fucking year this happens.
You'd think they would relocate her to a different part of the park.
Yeah, and how many years have you been doing this? And like,
Yeah, maybe
wear
you should
gloves.
be in charge of axe throwing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But you saw some ugly people there?
I did.
Segue. Fucking segue. How do you like it? So again, this week we chose top 5 places where you're going to see the ugliest people.
Right.
We all have these places we go to and we're looking around like, I'm the most handsome person here, and that's not often for me.
Yeah.
So, well, for me, it's not. But for you, the listener, I'm insanely good looking. But for random regulars, for the civilians,
Keep digging that hole, brother.
for the non hot fucks like
Yeah, you
myself.
got
Well,
it.
Jonah's out.
I'm
there.
part. You know,
The fuck?
all
Why
3
did I
of
get
us are
burned
part
on
of
that?
Hog Squad. I'm part of Hot Fuck Nation.
Hot
anyway,
Fuck
so
Nation.
that's my new thing. Sure, it's Hot Fuck Nation.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got a little list here. I wrote it down on a piece of paper that I ended up eating food over and spilling all over the paper, so it's all oiled up and gross. But I like what I got. I'll kick us off with my number 5 choice, which is I'm going to do a slash with this one, and it's because it's so obvious. But you made a good point when we talked about it earlier. So number 5 on my list of top 5 places in which you'll see the ugliest people, a given, the DMV.
Yeah. Why is that? I don't get that.
I'm not sure either. Man.
Everybody has a license, right? Not everybody, but most people have licenses. Most people have cars to deal with. So you'd think that like you'd see like a normal array of people.
Statistically speaking, you're right. Most people have a driver's license. So statistically speaking, you'd see a few hotties mixed into the equation.
Right.
Rarely, though. I
Yeah.
almost never see a hot woman there. And if I do, she's probably average, but she looks really hot by comparison. So you build her up even more so.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been on a plane and you see like women coming down and you're like, God, I want a small, skinny, hot woman to sit next to me just for the elbow room and everything. And then one comes down the road the way there, and you're like, is she hot, or is it just this is an ugly ass plane?
Yeah.
Planes. That's not on my list, but a lot of ugly people on planes.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a cross section to this because it also has the ugliest people, the bus.
The bus.
But it's weird because weren't you just at the DMV?
Yeah.
Don't you have a license?
What's going on, ugly person?
You don't need a license to drive the bus to be on the bus.
So it's just like
what's going on here?
Modes of transportation are going to contain ugly people. We made a good point talking about like, how is this happening? Why aren't we seeing more attractive people? I think what the DMV, buses, and planes are telling us is that the majority of people are ugly.
Right. But I'll tell you this. So planes, who do you fly?
Ooh, I usually go for the deal, but
I think that's the problem.
That's the problem. But no, you know what I use? I use United and American the most though.
Really? You don't see attractive people on there?
No, you do sometimes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say if there's 200 people on a plane, how many of them would you consider a 7 or above looks wise?
200 people on a plane. 198?
198 of them are a 7 or above. What the fuck? What
198 and then you walk in and I go 197. And then
no, I would say of 200 people on there, obviously there's some children and some people who are super old. You just get such a diverse range of people on a flight. That, as far as who you're physically attracted to, 7 fucking people out of 200. Yeah. Obviously, it's less than 200 because you're getting rid of, obviously, age groups and stuff like that. But, like, it's not overwhelming.
No.
You know?
Yeah. I never understood that.
And I think I know what you're talking about. There's a specific airline that's worse than them all.
Yeah. 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 That's a really spirited comment.
Yeah. We're and also if you want to go on a new frontier, that's we're talking Spirit and Frontier, everybody. Those two airlines in particular. If they're charging you extra money for legroom, there's gonna be some ugly motherfuckers on that flight. That's just how that goes.
Yeah. So I have one. We said Renfair. This one is Renfair adjacent. It is which I love going to, and I have always a great time. And anybody who's not into this, please just go to a live event once because you'll have the best time of your life. But professional wrestling matches.
Damn, you're right, dude.
If you want to feel good, I mean, there are attractive people there. I mean, don't get wrong, but it's one of those things when if you're a normal looking person, and you're walking, especially if you're with your like loved one, a couple, and then you see another normal looking couple, you kind of just do that whole like kind of black guy like, what's up? Like you kind of like yeah, it's weird that we're here, huh? Isn't that crazy? And like, so I don't know what it is, and maybe Austin will clip this out, but like, so if you bring if your normal girlfriend, which my girlfriend's very normal, she has been featured on we always go to the Royal Rumble every year. She's been prominently featured on every one because you can tell that the director's like, cut to the normal girl. Just cut to the normal girl. Normal people are here. Normal people are here. So people see that and they're like, yeah, normal people go too. And then they go there.
They try to sell tickets.
Yeah, and it's like, and also if you are a female listening right now and you're like, I've always wanted to go, but maybe, I don't know, I don't want to be around. Let me tell you the best thing for you is the line for the men's room out the fucking hallway. There's a tumbleweed going through women's bathroom. You will always be able to go to the bathroom pretty quickly.
I got to correct you on something though. I don't like that you called your girlfriend a normal girl. She's an attractive woman, man.
She's attractive, yeah.
Yeah, but by saying she's a normal girl, I know what you meant. You meant like in compared to all the people there that are gremlin looking.
I know.
But she's above really average looks, is my point.
Yeah, she's a very attractive young woman.
The people who would be get offended by this, we're not talking about you. You're good looking.
Yeah.
We're talking about the uggos.
Yeah.
Okay? We're talking about the goddamn beasts out there that make you feel...
The fat, bald, goateed motherfuckers that are taking up the front row at wrestling events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're not talking about.
We're not saying we don't like wrestling events. We're just saying...
We love wrestling events, but I'm embarrassed to say I go to them because of people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just insane sometimes, these gathering of the uggos.
And so, as long as we're talking to the listeners, I'll give you my number 4 on my top 5 list.
Yeah.
Gave you DMV. I was going to say / Walmart. Walmart's such an obvious. Let's not beat up the Walmart people anymore. My number 4 list of places to see the ugliest people, live podcast tapings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Talking to you
fans, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's a lot
Maybe moisturize.
Yeah, moisturize is really important. You should do that. Step outside every now and again. That's cool. Get some vitamin D on your face, you motherfucker.
Touch some grass.
It's also fun because we've performed for a lot of those.
Our listeners are great.
Yeah, our listeners are great. They're fantastic.
Chad, TJ,
yeah, all of them.
Looking.
But like we've opened for podcasts before.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's a lot of single ticket sold. It's really incredible how many single tickets are sold.
Single ticket sold people.
Yeah, single ticket sold people who are just so excited.
No, honestly, we're obviously fucking around. Podcast listeners are amazing people, and that's part of what drives us to do this stuff like that. But it is interesting because as a whole, I think that's what makes podcasts special in a lot of ways. I know we're picking on people a little bit, but we're doing it in jest, of course.
But also, I'd rather hang out with you than somebody that maybe the world would consider attractive, because guess what? They're not fun to be around.
They're not fun to be around.
They are a fucking
attractive
bore.
people are not. Most attractive people usually kind of suck to be around, to be honest. You know, I can't look in the mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
Hate it. You know?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, like, you know, we're saying this in jest, giving podcast listeners shit, but like, what is cool about podcast listeners at the same time is that I don't give a fuck. I like this thing that I like, and I'm here to support it and all that.
Well, same to the Renfrew people and the wrestling people.
And wrestling people. So that's what all these people have in common.
Yeah.
Is that they don't give a shit.
Oh,
and
dude,
by that nature, it kind of makes you attractive.
When you go to Royal Rumble, right? Because like you generally, it's a destination type trip. You have to go. When you're on the flight, you're seeing people with wrestling belts. Just proudly holding that shit up there. With their fucking wrestling belts. You're like, you brought that on a plane? How do you even get that through? It's all metal.
Dude, I went up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, your hometown, to see Elimination Chamber, WWE Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
It's me, Marty DeRosa, Ricky Gonzalez is a really good dude, and then this comic, Gary Lee, who's out of Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, I know Gary. Gary
Lee was doing a thing called Macho Fatness, where he would dress up like the Macho Man, but he was, you know, fat. And he did a dead-on impression of Macho Man. Now, I'd heard the impression before, but I never saw the whole get-up. We all meet at my apartment because I've been driving, and I wanted to stop to get hot dogs at this one place nearby that's really good. And as he's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, or at my apartment. I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to leave in like a minute. We're going to eat hot dogs and then hit the road. He comes out of the bathroom full Macho Fatness gear. Little tiny yellow trunks, bare chest, the nips, you know, the Macho Man gear. Then we go into the hot dog place, and I tell him, you're staying in the car. And he goes, why? I go here a lot. They know me in here. I'm not walking in there with you.
Right.
And he was like, fuck you, I'm going in. And he went in, and I was just so embarrassed. We get to Milwaukee, the Bradley Center, where the Milwaukee Bucks play, you know, park nearby. As we're walking up, every wrestling fan who's going to that same WWE pay-per-view we were going to, were just going nuts for him.
Because they knew who he was. Yeah.
And I felt like such a dipshit. I was been reversed. I'm like, you know what? He should be embarrassed to be with me.
Right.
Because I was so wrong. I wanted to be like, no, I'm his friend. I drove him here. I'm cool too.
Yeah.
They were going nuts for him. He was a celebrity.
Yes. That's what I love about these fans, right? Like, yes, we're giving shit to the people that love this stuff, but like, what's so amazing is they will lift up just another person that is there celebrating the thing that they love too. Yes. Just because that person made a hard decision to be like, what was it?
Macho Fatness.
That they, so they celebrated him and built him up and made him feel special.
Oh, it's crazy. There was someone who's dressed like Hogan there.
You think people are doing that at Wimbledon where they're all hot? No one's doing it at Wimbledon.
No chance.
No one gives a shit.
No chance.
No.
Stuffy, snobby people. Fuck that. Give me a WWE card any day of the week.
Yeah. Do you think people are doing that at a relay race?
No.
Or a fucking, or like
goes to a relay race, by the way.
I meant to say triathlon, but I don't know where a relay race came out. Yeah. Well, do you think the fucking idiots at triathlons are doing that?
You think they're chanting asshole at triathlons? No. Not as much fun. The WWE people are fun.
Yeah.
Anytime I bring my wrestling belt, like I'll wear it, I get stopped all the time and begged to like, can my son hold that? Can I take a picture? And like, people have cried.
Yeah.
They've never actually held like a real like heavy one.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear the sweetest story about wrestling fans ever, and then you got to give me your next one?
Yeah.
Good friend of the podcast, Marty DeRosa, told me this story, so I was not part of this story. But outside of a WWE pay-per-view that was happening in Chicago, my boy Marty and a couple of his buddies were walking. You know, they're outside the stadium. Everyone's getting hyped up. And as they're walking, they pass this woman who is obviously a single mother. And she's on the phone, and she's arguing with someone on the phone. And there's this 7-year-old kid, 6-7-year-old kid, all decked up in wrestling stuff, all excited to go. And she was like, this is bullshit. I cannot believe you're doing this to me again. And I cannot believe you're doing this to your son again. And she's trying to like whisper so the kid doesn't hear. You said there'd be tickets for us. He is so excited for this. I cannot believe you're disappointing us again. This is ridiculous. So clearly this was like some piece of shit dad who promised tickets to this wrestling pay-per-view. The kid had been pumped up for it. The mother's taking it. So it's a nice moment between them. Deadbeat dad coming through, but doesn't. Totally fucks them over. So my buddy and his friends are walking by, and the one buddy says to the rest of the group, not going tonight, guys. And another one's like, me either. They both gave their tickets to the mom and that 7-year-old boy so that the kid's night was saved.
Yeah.
And the mom, of course, was crying, hugging them, going, is there anything I could do? Like, you could take care of this kid and have yourselves a great time there.
Yeah.
That's why I'll always love pro wrestling fans.
Yeah, they're the best.
In the same regard, a lot of them are very hideously ugly.
They very much are. I mean? Yeah.
Just washing your face at night goes a long way.
It does. Moisturize
And wash your face.
day and night. You know what?
Day and night.
Yeah. A sunscreen for your face.
Oh, sunscreen's important.
Oh, get some retinol. Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Face mask. Every
love
now and
you.
again. Just every now and again.
Yeah. But it's funny because a lot of our list is internet related type people, I suppose. And I've always tried to give the internet some credit because it's weird to just bitch at it completely. The internet's been terrible for all the propaganda that gets spread, all the false information that gets spread, the fear mongering, all that shit. But the couple of the nice things I've always stuck up for is like people with like a rare disease could find other people with a rare disease and form a group and find a community. And people who like obscure shit can find their people. Because the world, life is both long and short, way too short, but also can feel long and lonely at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you can find the people you love and the internet's your tool to do that, God bless you.
Yeah.
Who's the next ugly group?
Oh.
There's a segue, right?
This is a bit of a two-parter, but I'm going to say campaign rallies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any
You're
type of
right.
public demonstrations.
Yeah, because people who are hardcore into politics,
Yeah.
right?
I'm also
on
going to
both
go.
sides.
You know, I went to some of those Black Lives Matters protests, and obviously I believe in that, whatever. But I was looking around, being like, what the fuck's with these people here? Like, it's crazy.
It's almost like what do they call it? Like good looking privilege? Is that a thing? Or like no, maybe not?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like you're a really good looking person. You could just tell people like, yeah, I support that. What are you doing next Saturday? I'm doing good looking people shit. You know what I mean? Like I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, I'll throw you a few bucks, but standing outside, boring.
By the way, you know we are going to be decimated in the comments.
I know people are gonna be like, "Who are these
the
ugly
fucks?"
fucks?
Yeah.
I want to let you guys know. I'm gonna look right into the camera. I really am regretting actually choosing this topic, which was a combination of all ours. Producer Austin gets the most credit though.
It was his idea.
It was 100%.
Yeah, can we put a picture of Austin up on
behind the camera?
right now? Let's put a
I'll
picture.
take credit. This was a good idea.
Yeah.
It was, but it is almost 1 a.m. on a Monday. I had my children's first day of school today. So I've been up since 7:30.
Yeah.
I had a photo shoot that I did look good for earlier.
Nice.
I had a show and now I'm very exhausted and my eyes have been fluttering to try to stay awake. So I'm sure I look extra awful right now. So internet, you win. Okay. We're making a list of ugliest fucking places to find ugly people.
They're going to be like, I'll tell you the ugliest people, the hosts of Let's Get Dumb.
Yeah. You know where I want to feel good about myself? I click on Let's Get Dumb clips on Instagram and YouTube. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right, man. That is an ugly place to see some.
Yeah, because like they're showing the DNC and the RNC like clips from those last things, and I'll tell you, one has more ugly people than the other. And
was it DNC?
I'm not gonna tell who, but now the other one.
Oh, the RNC one.
Yeah, have you seen the people that go to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they pad it. I
think they pad it a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
I think they pad it too. I think they make sure it looks like
They
goofier.
they get as many blondes in the front row as possible.
Well, it used to be at the DNC, you got a lot of the granola hippie looking people. Where you're kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, I'm happy for you to believe in your cause, but not very attractive. A lot of people who look like they would fall asleep on a park bench, right? Like on a college campus because they're educated.
Right, of course.
And then the RNC has gotten uglier lately. I admit that because they've kind of gotten more of the hill folk coming out in strong support. Where I feel like the RNC, say like early 2000s, late 90s, they were getting a little bit more of the financial or fiscally conservative crowd.
Yeah, the Michael J. Foxes.
Yes.
From the show.
Yeah. In real life, I don't.
Do you think that the RNC, like that, you think the Republican
National Committee,
or whatever, or do you think they should go from the slogan "The Hills Have Eyes"?
That could work for them. It might. It's a very specific reference to a movie that came out 20 years ago, but
because you said hill people,
hillbillies, hill folk.
Yeah. But then the Hills Have Eyes those the hillbillies of the hillbillies.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that would work, you know.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, man. What do you
I'm not you know what, man? We're not everything.
Listen, I've been golfing all day, dude. You have no fucking idea. Do you have any idea the fucking day that I had? I had to go golfing. I had to hang out with my interior designer for 5 hours. Oh my God.
5 hours.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will. Oh, I've told you a million times over. You know, talking about the fancy watches, talking about the cool shit. That's all great. I love hearing about it. Oh, you sat courtside. That's great. Whenever you say the words interior designer, I think you got to stop doing that.
He did it on the pod.
Huh?
We called him that. That should have been a clip. Remember when he said I met with my interior designer, and you went, wait a minute, what do you mean by your interior designer?
Yeah, it threw me off a little bit. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, no, I mean, no, obviously, you know, you want to have an interior designer, have an interior designer.
Mm-hmm. She's more of a GC though, which has been great.
I think
which I need.
Next time your interior designer is over, you should ask her about closets and how you could maybe,
get out of it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step out of it a little bit. With my next one is I have Vegas streets. Streets of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
The streets of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
My God. Okay.
It just looks like their skin's just melted off because of the hot weather.
It's so hot usually. I mean, especially this, if you go in August, it's like 118 degrees. But I was telling you, a lot of our, we live in Chicago. So people, when they go to Vegas, they fly in. And we've got friends in New York, so you fly in. There is a vibe and an excitement to flying into Las Vegas, right? Especially if you're taking like a red-eye flight. Because as soon as you get, everything's open. Everything's 24 hours in Vegas. You can get anything you want, all that kind of stuff. That's the fun part, right? So it's like, we're going to get there. We're going to throw our bag into the room, and we're going to fucking hit the casino floor. Let's go, right? You're pumped up. You've been waiting for this trip. That's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the airport has slot machines.
I know.
My first experience to Vegas was driving there. Different
Not
animal.
good. Yeah.
No, because when you drive, it was still a little excited. I'm being like, oh, look, I can see the little Vegas skyline. We're getting there. There's that beam of light. It's going to be great. Then I'm pulling into the parking lot of the hotel I'm staying at because they have a parking garage. And you're trying to turn right, but there's so much foot traffic, it takes forever to actually, no one stops enough to let you in. Yeah. And it's just the saddest people who lost a lot of money. Yeah. People who just look like, what have you been doing with your whole life? Have you seen a fruit before? There's apples and bananas. You should try them, right? Yeah. And stuff like that. Like, and I'm not just even like body shaming.
Didn't you take the stairs to get here?
And all that. Like, like just things where it's like, even if they look physically fit, their face, something happened, right? Like there's and it's just like a sadness that they carry about them, right? So it's hard to drive into it. 4-hour drive from LA, so you're a little bit tired at the end of a 4-hour drive. It's not a long enough drive where you're going to break it up with anything. Yeah. And you just you see the sadness that happens, and you're like,
it's just as hard walking through the streets. To add to what you said originally, like it is, like it's insane because like you're at Cosmo or wherever, and you're walking around, you're like, God, everyone's kind of hot in here, and then you just open that door, and you're like, whoa, what is the zombie apocalypse has happened? It feels like they're not letting them in. That's what it feels like.
When you step outside, especially when the daylight starts to hit, it's that scene of Varsity Blues when they step out of the strip club. Yeah. Except for they're not seeing people. They're just seeing the sun, and they're just not like in their eyesight. Because it almost feels like none of them were allowed in, and that's why they're wandering the streets.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Because because I've been in casinos where you're like, there's good looking people. There's a dance floor right there, and everyone's grinding, and they look happy. And then you go out there, and it's very much just the dreads.
I think here's a theory that I just came up with just now is because, I'm realizing is, I've been to Las Vegas a lot lately, and I've noticed that I have always seen the same crazies outside. Right. So to me now, what if Las Vegas did this on purpose? These are all hired actors. Because then what happens is you're outside and you're just like, ugh, gross. This person smells bad. That person scares me, whatever. And then you go into the hotel or the casino lobby and you're just like opening it to Oz, where you're just like, oh my God, the colors, it's all amazing. Everyone's attractive here. Like they did that I think they did that on purpose.
That's actually would be pretty good. The way they pump in oxygen to keep you awake when you're in the casino.
That's
like a fact people know
That's
about.
a fact. No clocks anymore.
Oh, man, no clocks. Yeah, because you don't want to know the times, because then you'd be like, I got to get my shit together. You know what? That'd be interesting. I want to put it past them. You know what I mean? Here's something I remember seeing in Vegas. This would be a fun thing to do a list of too on a separate episode of like top 5 craziest things you've ever seen in Vegas. Mine would be a prostitute with a broken arm. Still whoring herself up. Yeah. Wearing like next to nothing, tiny little dress.
Cast or sling?
Cast.
Okay.
Elbow to wrist.
Okay.
I remember being like, man.
That seems a little more okay than a sling.
No, to me it's not.
Really? Like
because a
sling
sling,
like
maybe I dislocated my shoulder having some great sex recently. You could sell it to someone.
Yeah.
A cast, you broke your arm and you're so, I can't take the day off.
Yeah.
Because I don't think hookers have any kind of health care.
You know, they have like a.
There's no pimp plant. Do pimps not? If I were a pimp, I would
Pimp's
lure
really
in.
a thing anymore.
I don't
In
think
Las
it is
Vegas?
either. In Vegas, it's legal, so no. But say I were a pimp.
It's not legal. It's not legal in Las Vegas. It's legal in Nevada, outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, so when you get a prostitute in Las Vegas, they
That's
take
illegal.
you to a hotel just outside of the city limits.
No,
probably.
but soliciting a prostitute. I don't know why I know this. I was telling this to Laura, and she goes, "Why do you know this?" I go, "I don't know why I know this. I've never gotten a prostitute, but like, it's like, so like." The people that go like the clicky thing, they hand you the
cards.
Yeah, they're allowed
cards.
to be in that area, but you can't solicit a prostitute in the city limits. You have to go outside.
Oh, okay.
So there's no brothels in.
But I saw. Or maybe she was just handing out the
No,
cards.
you'll
for
see
her
them.
friends.
There's just and like most people are just like, you're good, whatever. But
yeah, it's kind of like they turn the other cheek on it. Type of
have you ever been solicited by a prostitute?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it in Las Vegas?
I was handing cards in Vegas, but that doesn't really count. They hand the cards to everybody. Those cards, it's like
No, did a woman ever come up
here's
to you?
Amy's stats.
Has a woman ever come up to you and been like, "What's going on? What's going on, big stud?"
No. One time in Chicago, I was going back to my car in kind of a seedier area.
Okay.
And this woman asked something, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know where that is." And she's like, "Oh, okay. How about $20 and I'll suck your D."
Really? She said
And-
D?
Yeah. Austin's running our YouTube now, and I'm trying to make it so that.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I was doing that for. She didn't say suck your D. Although that'd been cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because she looked like the worst meth head I've ever seen in my life. Right?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, though, if I was a pimp, I would lure in the best talent by providing a healthcare plan.
That's a good idea.
Pretty good idea, right?
Yeah.
I think some of them would be like, it's less money, but I get the healthcare taken care
The
of.
healthcare?
A lot of these women have children. So
Yeah.
put them under the plan, too.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden, I'm getting some of the best ones. I think that's worth the investment. Sometimes you have to invest in your employees to get bigger returns.
That's a great idea.
This is a business podcast now. We will help you. And we will help the American people get prostitutes great again.
What would be your pimp name?
Thundercock? I don't know. No, that's not a good one. You got to have a name like, they usually have a name like, what was the one in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in that one season where he was like, fuck, I'm blanking on it, dude. It was so funny. What are good pimp names? And the other guys, Will Ferrell.
Juice.
Will Ferrell was Gator.
Yeah,
Will Ferrell was Gator.
Hey, Gators bitches don't wear no jimmies.
Yeah, Gators bitches don't wear no jimmies. There was one in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he was talking. It was so funny. Oh, man, I wish I knew this off the top of my head. I'm making this a bad podcast now. But yeah, no, I'd probably try to do like, something. You can't have dick in it because that's too childish. So Gator's a good one. You have to have something like that. I might be like,
I feel like if you do a play on Joey Pants, Joey Pantaleone, because your name's Joey, and Joey Pants sounds like a pimp
I thought
name.
like, you could do like a, Special K, Joey K.
Oh, by the way, sorry, this is off subject, but like, how much do you think a sword costs at Renaissance Fair?
A sword?
Oh, I could tell you.
$75.
You would think $1,200.
Jesus Christ.
It's insane. It's crazy.
That's got to be a top of the line sword, though.
Sure. They were selling wooden swords for like $500.
Oh my God, fuck these people.
It's like you'd
That's
buy
every
more.
nice thing I said back about them.
Yeah. You know what? Joey Pants needs a fucking pimp. You should pimp out the Ren Fair. You should have
Snowball.
a bunch of.
My kid name would be Snowball.
I don't think you
Or my
want it to be
pimp-
Snowball.
Pimp name would be Snowball.
You don't want it to be Snowball.
Oh, I know what that means. That's the porn thing where they spit it back in their mouths.
Mhm.
All right, that was a bad one. I was trying to think of like a real white guy
Chili
name.
dog.
Chili dog. Chili dog's not bad.
How about Footlong?
Now, again, you don't want
Footlong's
anything
awesome.
that makes it seem like you're overcompensating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Spicy Dick?
Chili Mac.
Chili Mac?
Chili man.
Chili Mac.
Kinda
Yo,
like
that's Chili Mac.
Yeah.
That's Chili Mac's ladies.
Yeah.
All right, Chili Mac works. I
Hell
like
yeah.
it.
Hell yeah.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one is going to be the line for a book signing with Bruce Campbell.
That is so specific. It's ridiculous. Bruce Campbell, as we all know from the Evil Dead movies, he's good friends with Sam Raimi, or Rami, who does the
Raimi,
Spider-Man
yeah.
movies. So
Yeah.
he's cameos in Spider-Man movies. Also, one of my favorite shows of all time, at least one of my favorite one-hour dramas, underrated show, Burn Notice.
He's in Burn Notice?
Yes, he's the second or third lead in Burn Notice. It ran on the USA Network for like 7 seasons. 2007 to 2013. You never heard of the show Burn Notice?
No, I was surprised Jonah. I mean, Monday Night Raw, I used to watch all the time. I saw 5,000 Burn Notice.
I always stopped. I know what Burn Notice is. I just didn't know he was in it.
Yeah, he's like the main guy in the Hawaiian shirt, right?
Yeah. So Michael Weston, who's played by Jeffrey Donovan's the main guy. Then it'd be Gabrielle Anwar, who plays Fiona on the show, Fiona Glennan, and then Bruce Campbell would be the third lead. But like he's equal to her, so he's really like two. So really the second lead because it's one main and then two right there. And he's phenomenal. And when they did one spinoff, it was a movie. They did a spinoff made for a TV movie called The Rise and Fall of Sam Axe because his character's name was Sam Axe. Oh, he's great in that. He's got a really funny biography called If Chins Could Kill because he's got a phenomenal chin.
Yeah, do you know why I know that?
Why?
Because
you went to the book signing for it?
Because I accidentally went to the line for the book signing. I went to Milwaukee to see John Mulaney, and this is before John Mulaney was John Mulaney, right? And he was at the Pabst Theater, and there's two Pabst. There's like three theaters that are connected.
He's doing a theater. He's still kicking ass. But anyway, go ahead.
It wasn't like a 500
as big as he is today. Yeah.
Right. And this is just on the cusp of him. I think this is when he was the head writer for SNL.
Yeah.
And so I get in line to Mulaney, and I see a couple like comics that I know, but like the really ugly ones. And I start like kind of looking around, and everyone's like, "Oh, I didn't know you're into this." And I was like, "Me? Why would? Of course, I'm a comedian. Why would I?" Yeah. And then I started looking at everyone, and I was like, "Why is everyone wearing a fucking Evil Dead shirt? This is interesting." And then I'm like, "God, these fucking muggos here. What the hell's going on?" And I go, "John Mulaney's like a good looking dude. Why the fuck? I mean, he's a good look,
he's handsome for a comedian.
Yeah. I'm like, what am I?
He's handsome.
I go, what does he have, a podcast I don't know about? And let's call back to your thing.
Nice, I like that.
And
he's with Olivia Munn. He's pretty good looking then.
Yeah. And then he goes, and then I found out that I went into the wrong line. There's two shows going on. One is for Mulaney and one is for the book signing. So I was in a book signing for Bruce Campbell, and then I went to Mulaney, and I was like, okay, these are some more attractive people.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Although
this is when he was
Bruce
young too.
Campbell, I think, is better looking than John Mulaney. And John
I think
Mulaney
at his heyday
that.
for sure. 100%.
I think John Mulaney would admit that. Even now, I still think he's good head of hair on him. All
I
right,
just
that's
know
a good
him
one.
from Escape from LA.
Yeah. And he was, when Ellen had her own TV show, her own sitcom, he was one of the main cast of the sitcom. Or he came on later. He owned the bookstore she worked at or something. Yeah.
Along with Jerry and Piven?
Yep, Piven was in there too. He was bald. All right, so I've got two more left, which is good because we're running into closing time, everybody, because we value you, our listeners, and we don't want to keep you too long, but we love you. I have 3-star hotel pools. Any hotel that you would consider like a 3-star hotel,
yeah,
like a Best Western or Ramada,
yeah,
stick your head into the fucking hotel pool.
Yeah, feel better.
Just take a gander.
Yeah,
you'll feel tremendous about yourself,
especially if they have an indoor pool.
Yes, indoor pool is what I was specifically thinking.
Yeah.
Of. And it's not even a looks thing with these people, although the looks matter. It's more the choices they've made. You know what I mean? Most of the dudes, and this isn't anything about weight. It's more about why are your nipples just so puffy? Mm-hmm. And what's with these scars? Mm-hmm. Did you lose a fight to a samurai? Mm-hmm. I don't get what's going on with that because the scars usually are not from any kind of surgery I've ever seen.
Where's your pinky finger?
Yeah, they're missing something. There's always some weird little thing going on. Patches of hair.
Yeah. Do you need to wear your necklace now?
Yeah, like there's always with the necklace.
Yeah.
The chest hair patterns don't make sense.
Yeah.
Because some people, when you see some hairy people, you're like, yeah, you're hairy, but I've seen that silhouette of hair before or that hairy outline. Some of these guys, it's like just a big patch of hair right up on this one shoulder, other shoulder baby smooth.
Yeah.
And just weird little scars and shit nips.
And hey, pal, wearing a t-shirt in the pool ain't helping you, bud. Because it got wet and now it's wrapping around those tits. Mm-hmm. And you can still see everything.
And then they don't know how to get out of the pool. They just kind of roll over off the concrete.
Right.
It's not a good look. Mm-mm. What's next in your book there, Jonah J?
I think I did my 5.
You did your 5?
Yeah.
Recap.
I had Ren Fair first.
Oh, that's right. You left with Ren Fair.
Yeah.
Kind of that one. All right. Well, here's my last one.
I can think of a lot.
No, I'm sure you could, man. So here's my last one, final one. And I think this is a good one.
Roller derby.
That's your last one? Roller derby's probably a pretty good one.
Bowling alley.
Bowling alley gets better now.
Don't you fucking say that. I'm at the bowling alley way more than you guys are. There's some
I think it's, how about this? It's the bowling alley you have to write your own numbers in.
Yeah, no, it's the bowling alley that's not $80 an hour. It's the bowling alley that actually hosts tournaments.
With real bowlers. Real bowlers.
Yes, real bowling alleys.
Like the Big Lebowski.
Not the fucking Lucky Strikes.
Great fucking movie. All right. Here's my final one, my number one for top 5 places to see the ugliest people. England.
Joe, our best numbers are in England.
I know. That's why I said it. Because I know the English have a good sense of humor. And Oasis is coming back, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. Big announcement tomorrow, everyone. I've never been to England. And of course, I'm kidding. I was just wanting to mess with our English listeners and have a little fun with the rivalry. England is an interesting group of people in the looks department. Because I feel like there's not a big middle class with them as far as looks go. Let me just finish this real quick because I know you want to jump down and add to it as you do so well. I feel like I've seen some hideously ugly English people.
Yeah.
America's very similar. You know what I mean? Because a lot of our roots can be traced back, as far as the culture goes, can be traced back to England. Obviously, we're immigrants from all over the world, and that's why Americans look a million different ways. But you've seen some of the English people with you got 3 teeth in your head, and they're all fighting each other and going in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They have fetal alcohol syndrome, right? A lot of them. All right. Not a good look. And then you have other ones where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's some gorgeous English actresses and singers and there's, so it feels like they've got like some of the most beautiful people in the world, some of the ugliest people in the world. And then the in-between is not as big.
Yeah.
You're right. I feel like you're either hot or you're not.
Do you want to know the England of
America?
The US? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
New York City.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 9 million people there. I thought you were going to say Florida.
If you're like a native New Yorker, you had a rough life. Like you look like you had a rough life. I don't know why it ages.
The natives do look bad there.
Yeah.
Because it's just.
But the same thing. Or they're gorgeous. Not everyone from New York's ugly, but like it's just like some of those people are just like, oh my God, are you all right? Do you need a hug? What do you need?
Well, our New York numbers aren't that good, so I don't know how this is going to help. But I'm just talking around.
Yeah.
But dude, you're right though, and you think it's the native New Yorkers look particularly bad because
where'd all the English go?
Smelling. Well, they landed in New York first, right?
Yeah.
The Dutch were there too.
Mm-hmm.
It was New Amsterdam first, right? But no, I think a lot of the native New Yorkers are kind of ugly looking because they grew up smelling garbage their whole life because the town stinks. The garbage is right out in front.
Yeah.
So they always have this face. Oh, it's terrible. And eventually that's just your face.
Yeah.
So you just walk around with this scrunched up like.
And they're always saying like, fuck you.
They all look like they're doing a De Niro impression.
Yeah.
Right? It was like,
where's he from?
hey, Fokker.
Yeah.
I think he might be from New York.
I believe he is.
Yeah. So, but some people consider him good looking.
He was a very attractive man.
He was a younger guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a good looking guy. I feel
for,
right?
For 90 or whatever.
The hell he is. But you're right. I do think New York is probably the best example of people who are either really hot or really ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Florida was going to be the one you used.
Oh.
Because Florida has some really good looking people, but they also have, some gators.
Yeah.
Right. So, it goes to show you.
Yeah.
We're going to get grilled on this fucking episode.
Demolished.
But it's totally
Which
fun.
we deserve it.
We deserve it.
Yeah.
We're not having our best looking day, you and I, either. I wish I would have chosen
Okay,
some.
well, first off, fuck you, but also I do agree with you.
A little humility goes a long way, I've been told.
I've been on a little bit of a bender. Doesn't do good well to your face.
Looks like
that's
I'm
been the podcast?
Wrapping this up because I'm angry. Now I'm just wrapping up because what else am I going to do with this? I spilled half of the food on there.
Yeah, Joe, not everything.
Yeah, that's been the podcast, man. I'll do some plugs. You do some plugs. I will be headlining the Comedy Cabinet in Janesville, Wisconsin this Friday and Saturday, August 30th and 31st. Please come on out if you're in the area. I'd greatly appreciate that. And then, you check out joekilgallen.com, YouTube, my comedy specials. I really appreciate that. Jonah, what do you got rocking?
You can support our shows that we represent, which is Comedians You Should Know, which is every Wednesday here in Chicago and every Wednesday in New York City with a half hot crowd, half not attractive crowd. And Black Adars every Friday here. Once a month in LA now. Don't know the next date on that. And then that's it. Just the podcasts.
Hell yeah, man. And you're going to be in Europe in September.
Yeah, I'm going on a trip. I'm going on a trip for 20 days. Yeah, Spain.
How much you think of Spain? I've heard great things.
So I don't have a lot of days coming up.
I've heard wonderful, wonderful things.
I'm excited.
Spain. Like it's like one of the best European countries to go to. That or France or Ireland. All right. So thank you for listening to Let's Get Dumb, everybody. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We appreciate the support. Cheers.
Cheers.